All right, so what all of this is about is health, longevity, looking good, feeling good, and living to the max through our whole life, basically, right? So this is a quick graph on age to function, right? So when we're 0, we have no function. We need someone to change our diapers, feed us, all this stuff, right? No function, but it goes up, 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 until about 30 is roughly our physical peak, right? And then we should slowly degrade until we live to about 100 and die, right? One day we just don't wake up. That would be ideal, okay? Unfortunately, what's happening, a lot of people in like their teens now are having struggles, and we're not at our physical peak. We're all down here struggling, and it's because of our life choices for the most part. What we're eating, we're staying inside, we're not exercising, right? And this is causing a lot of issues. The good news, and this is what we're gonna go over, is no matter where you are on your function, you can always go up. We can always work towards improving closer to where our bodies are meant to be. Cool? All right, so food is really simple, but it's been made complicated because if you're confused, it's a lot easier to sell you things. There's get fit quick things, and take this thing and you'll be fit and healthy in 2 days, right? So I'm gonna make it as simple and as clear as possible for you. That's my goal, all right? This is huge. This I would write down. The major key to your better future is you, okay? Because I'm gonna tell you how the world works today, all right? I'm gonna tell you how food works, how your body works, all of that stuff. I can't make you do anything. I'm just gonna give you the tools. And the major key to you changing is you. If you don't change, nothing changes. Cool?
There we go.
All right, so what I'm gonna do first is just cruise through testimonials and stuff to prove to you that I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for 10 years. I went to school for fitness nutrition. And I own my own gym here for 2 years. I worked at Eupraxia and lacrosse for 4 years before that. I was in the Navy as a command fitness leader. I have my certification in that. I've studied nutrition on my own and in school, and results show. Okay, so these are from other Eupraxias. I won't spend a ton of time on it, but this is Brian. Some people are like, I want the fountain of youth. People drive to, like, was it Jacksonville or whatever, because where the fountain of youth is, and they like drink the water so that they look better. Guys, it's food and exercise. What we eat and how we move determines how young we feel, okay? This is Darcy. 2 big things. 1, she's a mother of 5, okay? A lot of times we say we can't. You can. And number 2, she has a 70-pound kettlebell. A lot of times we're like, oh, if I lift heavy, I'm gonna look like the Hulk, which is really just your way of saying, I don't want to lift heavy, which is fine. But all lifting heavier weights does is make you stronger, which makes you more toned, and you burn more calories throughout the day, okay? So don't be afraid of heavy weights. Karen, the funny thing about Karen was for the longest time, she was eating healthy, getting fit, and her family was like super concerned about her. They're like, we're worried, you haven't had cheese in a while, they had an intervention for her, and they're like, we're concerned that you're getting so healthy. It's just like, but after like a year of doing it, now they start to asking her, hey, what are you doing? Because she looks so good, she has all this energy, and they're like, what are you doing right? So sometimes the group that's around you is gonna discourage you from making a big change. But if you're ready to dive in and just go for it, people might discourage you at first, but eventually they're gonna ask you how you did it, and then you can help them, which is awesome. This is Mark, Steve, who is the owner of Eupraxia. He met Mark at a conference. Mark had a heart attack at age 30, and so he had to have surgery done. And the reason this is up here is a lot of times we wait for tragedy to make a big change. Like, well, I'll wait till I have type 2 diabetes and I have a stroke and I have to amputate my leg and all this other stuff. And it's like, then I'll get it together. It's like, well, don't wait. Like, the preventative is way more important. Consistency is huge. Sometimes we go up and down and up and down. She was losing weight, gained it back, losing weight, gained it back, losing weight, gained it back, until she was like, I'm going all in, staying consistent, and she's holding the 80 pounds on her shoulder. That's what she lost, which is cool. This is Kim. She lost over 100 pounds, and the reason I say consistency is huge is it took her years, right? If you lose a pound a week, like, that's nothing. But in a year, that's 50 pounds. How fast does time go? It's nuts. What year is it? 2022?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? It's gonna keep going. Another thing is sometimes we say, I wish I could get my 20-year-old body back, okay? Back to this graph. When you're like 20, your function, your ability is really high. And then we think when we're, 60, 70, we can't be there anymore. We're gonna be a little bit lower, but a big reason as why we're way lower most of the time is what we eat, lack of exercise, all that stuff. Again, fountain of youth is what we eat and exercise. These are some people from here that crushed it. Really proud of all these guys. So, all right. So, who has tried something and quit or fallen off the wagon over and over again? How many times, right? Exactly, right? So, a huge part of sticking with it is having a clear, distinct why. Okay, so you have to figure out what is your priority. For some people, it's making money. Cool. For some people, it's your career. It's some people, it's family, right? Figure out what your number one thing is for real, not what you think it should be because people are telling you that, because that doesn't work. Figure out your real why and go for it and make that your priority as to why you want to make the change. Cool? Mine is these people up here. You know, it's nuts. This is my immediate family, right? My mom and dad in the middle, my wife, all my siblings, and their kids. That's it. How many nieces and nephews are there now? There's 12. Henry's the 12th grandkid for my parents. So basically, the point is, I'm gonna utilize my child. Basically, the point of it is, when you're struggling, right? Remember your why and make it apparent and blatant. Put it on a sticky note on your fridge, because when temptation comes, when we're feeling tired, when all those struggles hit, we're gonna forget and go back to what habits we're used to comfort us and all that stuff. So have it visible. Have it visible. Maybe write that down. Guys, keep writing stuff down. This is good stuff, guys. All right? A helpful exercise. Okay, again, we're forgetful creatures. I would write down 10 to 50 ways that making healthy choices, exercising, is going to have a positive impact on your number one priority. Whatever that is. Family, wealth, health, anything. Whatever your number one priority is in life, write down 10 to 50 ways, as that is going to make exercising and eating good is going to help. And then that solidifies it in your brain. All right, so what is healthier, an apple or a donut? Apple! It's super easy, right? But if we have the choice, a lot of times we go for donut. And why? It tastes so good, right? Wendy, you're a donut lover. That's all right. It tastes so good, right? So we're looking for the immediate gratification, the short-term stuff, even though we know that the apple is healthier. Who in here, if I could do that, snap your fingers, could be way healthier? Who would do it? You're in the best shape of your life. Everybody. And we know how to get there, and it's choosing the apple instead of the donut over time. But we get it in our head that there's people food, right? So would you give your dog soda or chips or cookies? Hopefully not. If you're at somebody's house and they give their dog Doritos, you'd be like, what is going on? They're like, oh, he just really likes that stuff. You're like, no, he's gonna get sick, right? And we're the same way. We think that we're not animals. We're mammals, and we need certain food just like other animals need certain food. And when we don't have that, we get sick. Okay, you are awesome, okay? The genes that create who you are incredible. So there's trillions of chemical reactions going on in your body every second, and the cells in your stomach create acid that can dissolve razor blades. And that's the same DNA that is in your skin and your hair and your intestines. It's nuts. So we are incredible creatures. How many of you guys have watched HGTV or home renovation shows? Sri and I watched one last night. It was pretty cool, right? So I want you to just imagine your dream home for a second. The kitchen is probably huge, right? All this fun stuff of your dream home, right? You have the perfect blueprint. It's outstanding. And guess what? Someone just donated the perfect construction crew for you, and they've never made a mistake before in their life. But all the materials show up, and it's just firewood, broken glass, bent nails, rotten wood, all this stuff. Are they gonna be able to build you a house? Yeah, it's just gonna be a piece of junk, even though the blueprint is perfect and the construction crew is outstanding. So the blueprint for our body is incredible. The intelligence that made this body is incredible and has never made a mistake. We are meant to be healthy creatures. We are not made for sickness. We are made for health when we give ourselves the right materials. Unfortunately, we're doing firewood, house, right? So if we fix that, we can fix and become the perfect house. Epigenetics and gene expression with twins. So they've done cool studies with twins. This just goes along the same lines with what I was saying. Identical twins that do not live together for their life, when they grow up, they'll look at them. They've done studies in Scandinavian countries, and they are not the same health. It means someone is healthier than the other. Someone might be really sick, overweight, and the other one is fit and healthy. It is not our genetics, for the most part, There are anomalies, but for the most part, it's what we decide to do with our body, okay? What we're gonna go over, I'm gonna breeze through as much as I can as possible, write down notes, write down questions, because your time is valuable and mine. So we're gonna go over current health in America, see if there really is a problem. Go over food, what to eat, what not to eat, supplements and help save you some money, exercise, and how to get unstuck and become the 2.0 version of yourself. So the current health in America, to start, we have to see if there really is an issue, and there is. Okay, so 62 million Americans suffer from GI, gastrointestinal disorders, and colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer in the US. Our GI tract, is that based off what we eat? Our colon, is that based off of what we eat? Absolutely. More than 2/3 of the adult population in the US is either overweight or obese, which is a 600% increase in the last 15 years. Our genes do not change that quickly, okay? It takes a long time for that to happen. So it's not a genetic issue, guys. In the United States, we make up 80% of the world's pain medication consumption, right? And a big part of that is inflammation from what we're eating. A huge part of pain, weight gain, disease, all of that stuff is inflammation, okay? I had plantar fasciitis in college, horrifying. I think I was talking to you about that, Sandy. I was working at Texas Roadhouse, and I would have to, when I had 4 or 5 tables in the middle of my shift, go into the back and get ice and just ice my ankle to numb it because I could not stand, right? Huge inflammation issue. As soon as I started cutting out a couple of things from my diet, I can run again. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. And then once in a while, I'm like, huh, was it really that bad when I was eating all that junk? I'd eat that junk, my feet flare up. I'm like, oh yeah, that was awful. Sometimes you need that reminder, but that's all right. 80% of adults in America have a chronic illness. We're all taking prescriptions, even kids. It's really bad. All right, healthcare expenditures. So the United States spends the most on healthcare, and yet we rank 27th in the world in healthcare. So it's not a matter of just not being able to fund it. We are sick. All right, and our life expectancy is 45th in the world of all the countries. I don't think I could personally name 44 countries. That's like nuts, okay? Life expectancy in the United States, 78 years, but 64 years for functional life expectancy. And functional life expectancy is taking care of yourself, right? Some people, the average is living to 78, but people being able to do what they want, have freedoms, is average of 64 years. Okay? All right, let's get to some good stuff. So, these are studies done, Journal of Applied Physiology. Overwhelming evidence from a variety of sources links the most chronic diseases in the world today to physical inactivity and inappropriate diet consumption. I know I am pounding a hammer into a dead horse or whatever, right? But I'm trying to just solidify that there is an issue, and it's a very current issue. So where did we all go wrong? Okay, who knows the My Plate or the My Pyramid thing, right? You guys saw it, now it's a My Plate, they made it different, okay. But back in the 70s, early 80s, there was a Dr. Ansel Keys, okay? And he had a theory that saturated fat led to heart disease. And what does a good scientist do? They fudge their data to prove their theory is correct, right? So he cherry-picked data, had bad scientific evidence to prove his theory that saturated fat causes heart disease and issues, right? That paper got published, the government saw it and was like, we should do something about it. So they pulled all the fat out of everything, and everything was fat-free. Who's bought some fat-free, low-fat just because it said it on there? Yay, fat-free, low-fat, good, I won't get fat. But when you take fat out of something, it tastes like cardboard. So what do you put in to make it taste good? Sugar, yay! So we got some issues. So starting in the 70s and early 80s, they came out with new guidelines, okay? Low-fat guidelines from the government. And this is obesity chart right afterwards, okay? Interesting correlation, could be exactly why. This is the same chart with diabetes numbers. So, as soon as the guidelines came out, take fat out, put sugar in, diabetes has consistently gone up, 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 okay? All right, so we need to fix it. So what have people tried over the years to fix it? All sorts of different diet plans. Some of my favorites, in the 20s, the Lucky Strike cigarette brand launches. Reach for a Lucky Strike instead of a sweet. Will you lose weight if you're smoking instead of eating? You will! Not a good idea, okay? Slim Fast, shake for breakfast, shake for lunch, sensible dinner, okay? Not good. The only thing you should substitute a meal with is a healthier meal, guys. Okay. That HCG diet is where you get injected with human corticotrophin, something like that. It's a really long word, right? And then it satiates you, so you only eat like 500 to 800 calories a day. You're starving. Will you lose weight? Yes. As soon as you stop doing that, will you gain it all back? Yes. It's an awful idea. Body wraps, I think, is such a funny idea. Is it possible for you to have a pet like a dog that's out of shape and overweight? Okay. If you took it to the vet, he's like, you know what, let's shave him down, wrap him, put Vaseline all over his belly, wrap him up in saran wrap, and he's just gonna lose weight. He's gonna shrink. You'd be like, who are you, this crock? I'm paying you? No, what would he say? Hey, you need to walk, take him for a walk, and you need to change his diet. We're animals, same thing applies to us, okay? Eating better, exercising, and eating in the right proportions works 100% of the time. Okay, this is super important, all right? Please don't get mad at me. I didn't design the world. If you're upset about how this all works, you're gonna have to talk to somebody else other than me. The important thing is just understanding how it works and then applying the information from there, okay? You don't have to like it, but we should understand it. Food. So we're gonna start with carbs. What is a carb? Carbs are just sugars. They're simple sugars, sucrose, glucose, fructose. They combine, they add on to each other, lots of sucroses, lots of fructoses, lots of glucoses, and those are carbs, okay? But when we think of carbs, what do we usually think of? Bread, pasta, pancakes, all that stuff, right? But vegetables and fruits are carbs, okay? Fruits and veggies are carbs. So when we eat carbs, I try to have carbs all the time, just fruits and veggies, because there's the nutrients that are in there that we need, and there's a good fiber in there that helps keep us full, okay? You know what's interesting? Would you guys have birthday, some of us might, would you guys have birthday cake regularly for breakfast? No? No, probably not. It'd be weird if you had friends over and they're like, hey, I got breakfast, it's cake. But what is cake made out of? Sugar? Flour, right? Basically the same stuff that's in pancakes, right? Waffles, cereal. It's all the same exact ingredients, and we're basically having birthday cake for breakfast, guys. It's not good for us, all right? Proteins and fats we'll kind of lump together. So an issue with that is meat. So a lot of times there actually are studies that say red meat is bad for us. And one of my favorite things, and I have to withhold my smile, when people say I'm eating really good, I'm not having any red meats. I'm like, oh, that's really sad, okay? The issue is, a lot of those studies, again, scientists love to prove their theories correct. When they look at red meat in a study, what they don't look at is that those same people are also smoking more, drinking more, not exercising, right? Eating all this other junk food, and they're like, but it's red meat, that's the problem. Here's the problem with some meats, is if you get the wrong inflammatory kinds of fats, okay? So it depends on what the animal eats. Protein is not affected. So if you're gonna eat meat for protein, it doesn't matter if it's organic, grass-fed, whatever. If you're going to try and get beef, go lean if it's conventional. If it's grass-fed, you can have all the fat that you want because that fat in that animal is healthy, okay? If it's fed corn and locked in a thing and it's never outside and it's given antibiotic shots so that it gets fat faster and all this stuff, the fats are affected because it's not eating what it should be. It's not a healthy animal, unhealthy fats. Cool? Protein's good. So if you're on a budget, get conventional meat for sure, but watch the fat content in those. Fat's awesome, but not from sick animals. So if you can, if ever possible, get grass-fed beef and wild, organic, raised fish and stuff like that. Cool? Awesome sauce. All right, so organic whenever possible, whenever there's something on sale that's organic, go for it. Biggest things to try for are things where you eat the skin, like apples, you eat the skin that gets sprayed. Organic is better for that one. Bananas doesn't matter because you peel the skin off, right? Pretty simple. Same thing, avocados. There's a skin on there with all the spray on it. You don't eat the skin, I hope. Does anybody eat avocado skin? She's like, yeah, definitely, no. Yeah, I eat the seed too, no. Fiber. Yeah, fiber, exactly. So if there's a skin on it that you eat, in general, try and do organic. However, inorganic fruits and vegetables are much better than any other option that's your cereals, your breads, your toast, your crackers, and all that stuff. Cool? Awesome sauce. What to drink? What do all mammals drink?
Water.
Wow, it's really simple, guys. If you do want something like milk, which we're going to cover in a second, I would recommend like nut milk that's unsweetened. Okay, there's a lot of like almond milks and oat milks that are all just full of sugar. So if you really need your milk, I would go with almond milk and go unsweetened. Okay, one of my favorite is called Simply Almond. Okay, because that doesn't have a ton of additives. It's just almonds and water. So if you want milk, Simply Almond milk. They have it at Pick and Save. They do not have it at Aldi, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to talk to them. So fiber is just a carb that we can't digest, okay? There's a lot of misconceptions with fiber. There's two types, water soluble, water insoluble. Water soluble fiber is in fruits and veggies. That's the good stuff that feeds the good bacteria in our gut, right? Which is why we take probiotics for the good bacteria in our gut. Water insoluble fiber is in grains, right? And that is feeding the bad bacteria in our gut. So there's a war going on, and we're feeding whoever we want based on what we eat, right? Okay. So one of the reasons they give cows antibiotics is because that bacteria, when they kill the good bacteria in the gut, they gain weight faster. A funny story is a truck got tipped over on the highway, and it all spilled out was all these expired Skittles. Okay? And they were going to a cow farm because they feed their cows expired candy so that they get fat faster. And the funny part is, all these people were in an uproar. How could you be giving these cows candy? And then they're like to their 2-year-old, here's some Skittles. So they're feeding cows candy to make them fat and sick. All right, let's try and avoid that stuff ourselves. Wheat is a huge thing. Most of us have sandwiches and all these other things when we think of carbs. It's almost always wheat. So what's the issue with wheat? Actually, in the last 50, 60, 70 years, the wheat plants that we have are not even close to what they used to be, all right? It used to be different strains called Emmer and Eichhorn. They hybridized them so that they could mass produce them, and they'd be easier to withhold like storms and stuff like that. So they used to be this tall, now they're this tall. And when they cross-pollinate and hybridize different plants, the whole DNA structure changes. So it's not what it used to be, unfortunately, okay? Also, the gluten in the wheat, which is the sticky substance protein that keeps the bread kind of spongy and stuff. If you're gluten-free, you know that you don't get that sweet, right? Like spongy stuff anymore, because there's no gluten in there. After they adjusted the wheat to make it better for them to mass produce, they never were like, hey, I wonder how this will affect human health. It's not good. It's not good for us. Also, wheat, when we eat it, gets digested as fast as we just were doing spoonfuls of table sugar. It's just carbs, remember, just sugars bound together. And in breads, okay, there's not all the good things that are in fruits and vegetables to help us slow the digestion and get all the nutrients in it. It's like eating a candy bar when you're eating bread, okay? Also, it's an appetite stimulant, so there's lectins and phytates in wheat. Lectins block the hormone leptin in our brain that tells us we're full, which is why when we're eating carbs all the time, we want to keep eating, because it's literally blocking the sensor in our brain that says we're full. All right, there's also phytates, which are in grains that bind to like magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, all those micronutrients, okay? Because the plant needs those micronutrients. What happens though when we eat that is those phytates are still there and will bind to iron, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, all those good things that are in our digestive tract, and we'll steal it and we'll pass it through. So a lot of people who are anemic don't need iron pills. You need to stop having all the phytates in your diet that's stealing all the iron from you. Make sense? Cool. There's also addicting chemicals in grains, unfortunately, that actually like bind to the opiate receptors in our brain. So like people who are really addicted to medications, it's the same thing for us with gluten. So when I say, sorry, if you want to be healthy, no more sandwiches, and you're like, but why not? Because you're addicted to it. It's really sad, but once you get pushed through like a week or two, it's not so bad. Okay, different issues that have been proven in studies to be issues connected to eating gluten. Osteoporosis, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, anemia, fatigue, canker sores, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, and basically all immune diseases. So, you guys know, like if you get poison ivy on your arm, right, you get a rash because you had contact with this plant. Gluten does that on our insides, okay? So it irritates our digestive tract. And what happens is we can get what's called leaky gut, which is not fully digested food particles can get into our bloodstream, and our autoimmune kicks in and says, hey, this isn't supposed to happen, which leads to all these issues. I told my mom for years and years and years, because she would have some skin issues and problems, to just stop eating gluten and see, right? But nobody listens to their children. Like 3 years after I said she should do this, she started feeling way better, and she had all these things. And she's like, my doctor told me to give up gluten, and I did, and now I feel great. I'm like, good. I'm happy for you, Mom. Good job. All right. There's also somebody at the lacrosse Eupraxia that was getting shots for rheumatoid arthritis because there's so much inflammation, right? $10,000 per shot, 4 times a year. Cut out the junk, doesn't need their shots anymore. $40,000 savings, right? That's pretty significant. So you might be able to buy organic after that. Okay, we're going to talk about dairy. I know in Wisconsin this is like sacrilege. Yeah.
What about sprouted grain bread?
No, it's a better bad. It's a better bad because there's still all the lectins, phytates in grains in general. Yeah. So especially if people are like gluten-free, what about gluten-free? It is better, but if you're going for optimal, what I'm going to ask you guys to just try please, is 30 days. Just try for 30 days, just go all in, okay? No, but what if this, that, or the other thing? Just try, because guess what? If you try for 30 days and you do everything I ask you to do, because I've seen it work 1,000 times, and it doesn't work for you, at least then you know. There's not those extra little factors in there that actually were the issue, okay? So, astronauts apparently get reduced bone density when they're in space for a long time. And it's not because they don't have enough milk, it's because there's no density on their bones. It's the same thing for us. If I'm just eating protein powder all day, are my muscles gonna get strong? No, because you gotta put the stress on the muscles to keep them strong. It's the same thing with bones, okay? What keeps your bones strong is resistance training, okay? Putting pressure on your bones keeps them strong, all right? There's actually no studies that show that milk gives you strong bones. Milk is a industry, and they like to make money, so they market, right? Got milk mustache, I saw that growing up, okay? There's nothing to support that. And actually, the countries with the highest consumption of milk and dairy products are the same countries with the highest rate of osteoporosis. So, we're gonna talk about which ones to take. Fish oil, if you could only take one, I would say make it fish oil, okay? And the reason is every single cell in your body, every single one from your hair to your nose to your toes, nails, is made up of fats and amino acids. And the fats in your cells are from what you've eaten. You are what you eat. If you don't eat, you die because your body has nothing to keep creating its cells. So the fats in your cells, every single cell, is made up of what we've eaten. And it's either inflammatory fat or anti-inflammatory fat, right? Fish oil is anti-inflammatory, and it affects every single function that we have. What you want to do is get one third-party tested. Make sure it doesn't taste bad. A lot of people have had bad experiences with fish oil because it tasted bad. Guess what? That fish oil is rancid, and those companies don't care. They're just putting it on the shelf for cheap, okay? So you want to get a good quality fish oil that's been tested and doesn't taste bad, okay? So in some studies on omega-3 fish oil, researchers found that people who had higher levels of omega-3 fats from fish oil had 34% lower risk for death from any cause, 39% lower risk from cardiovascular disease. So it helps your heart, again, every single cell in your body, super important. There's some more good fish oil information. They play a critical role in every human function, and people who with high intakes of omega-3 fish oil in general weigh less and lose weight more easily than people who are deficient. So if you want to lose weight, take fish oil. So my brother-in-law, Marcus, he always tells me when he knows he needs to get more fish oil because he hasn't taken it in a while, his knees start to hurt, right? So it's really good for inflammatory joints and everything too. Cool. Boosting weight loss, lower blood pressure. Next one we're going to talk about is vitamin D. All right. So vitamin D, if you're getting a lot of sun, your body creates it from the sun. It's a hormone. When the sun hits your body, you create vitamin D. We're coming up on fall. A lot of us work inside all day. If you're not getting ample sunlight, you should take vitamin D, okay? That is why people usually get sick in the winter months. cold and flu season is really just lack of vitamin D season for the most part. Super crucial for your immunity, but also all of those things. Cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, I won't even go through all the things. But the director of Vitamin D Council talks about how vitamin D affects our body. Super, super important. And it's really cheap. Vitamin D is extremely inexpensive. What you want to look for is what oil it's with, because vitamin D only gets absorbed with oil, okay? So they always put it with one, but a lot of times they'll sell it with an inflammatory oil. So you're getting inflamed from the vitamin that you're paying for, which makes no sense, but it's cheaper for them. So we have anti-inflammatory oil with our vitamin D. So I'm gonna give you guys one when you leave. Cool? All right, COVID study with vitamin D. Those that tested positive had lower levels of vitamin D than those that ended up testing negative. So you can fight off COVID better with vitamin D because it helps your immune system. Probiotics. First of all, dairy probiotics are one, wrong strain, okay? Our bodies aren't adjusted and meant to have those strains of bacteria. And two, they're pasteurizing all that dairy stuff, so most of those probiotics are dead. So they're not helping you at all. So that's another good job marketing by the dairy people, okay? Probiotics help digest and absorb nutrients, help with weight management, enhancing your immune function. They also help make vitamins in your body, okay? And they're fighting the bad bacteria. Remember I said it, fruits and veggies, good probiotics or good bacteria, eat those. And there's so many antibiotics in all the food that we're eating, and there's like, everything's so sanitized, there's herbicides and pesticides on a ton of our food now. So having the probiotics to help combat that so that we can stay healthy and feel good is huge. Oh yeah, there's like 2 to 5 pounds of bacteria in your gut. Did you know that? It's nuts. 2 to 5 pounds of something else living inside of you, which is kind of crazy. So how do you know what's good and what to take? So again, Dr. Sis created his own probiotic, and he's got all the adequate strains in it that show that they're helpful for our bodies. So when you compare it to the other stuff, which is just as good, it's the cheapest option, and you know what you're getting is quality. And the next thing we're going to talk about is exercise. So what carbs are we going to eat? Let's review food really quick. What are good carbs?
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables, awesome. Fats and protein, what are we going to look for? Good healthy meats, lean meat if it's conventional, and eggs are awesome. Avocados are awesome, yep. And have as much fat on meat if it's grass-fed, organic stuff. Cool? All right, so we're gonna talk about exercise. This is a fun one. What fits your busy schedule better? Exercising for an hour a day or being dead 24 hours a day? Sometimes the truth hurts. Okay, so why to exercise? There's a ton of reasons. Strengthens your heart, your cardiovascular system, regulates your fat storage, okay? Increases BDNF, which is your how your neurons work in your brain. So you actually can create new neurons in your brain from exercise. So, you know, in college, a lot of times people say if you drink, you kill brain cells and they'll never grow back. That's not true. On Wisconsin, no. It's not true, but you can build brain cells back from exercise, okay? Reduces obesity, elevates your stress threshold. So after a great workout like this morning, you guys are just like, now I'm not gonna kill that person at work that I was so mad at. Your stress relief is huge. Lifts your mood, improves your immune system, fortifies your bones like we talked about, boosts your motivation, and then neuroplasticity helps with your brain function. So a lot of times, what I tell people is exercise because it makes you feel good. You're more motivated. You have more drive. You're stronger. And then a fun side effect is you also look much better too, right? All right, so what is the best type of exercise? It depends on your goals. If I wanted to be like a power lifter, I'd be lifting differently than we do here. But my goal, and my goal for everyone who comes here, is to be fit for life, right? To be able to go on that hike you want to go on to, right? To go for a bike ride, to go up and down the stairs without being winded. Fit for life, all right? They've done studies on like long distance versus high intensity weightlifting. Distance runners, as you can see on the left, are skinny and scrawny, which is fine, right? But I want to be fit and strong. So what they found out was people who did long distance, endurance, steady state, did not burn as many calories as those who did less time, high intensity. So that's why we only need 30 to 40 minutes here, going high intensity, moving some weight around, getting strong. You're gonna burn more calories that way than if you just go for you run a marathon, all right? However, if you like running, I highly encourage you run. If that's your stress relief, go ahead. But maybe mix in some sprints in there too. Cool. Plus, then it's more efficient. You only gotta come in for like half an hour, 35 minutes, 3 times a week. Piece of cake. So this is Susie. This is one of Dr. Siz's patients. She's never walked a day in her life. Reason I put this up there is a lot of times we say, well, exercise sucks. Oh, I have to go to the gym. You know what Susie would give to do one burpee or a push-up or a squat? Anything. Anything. It's a gift. It's a blessing. Our bodies were meant to move. We feel better when we move. Okay? So sometimes we need perspective. A lot of people aren't able to do a box jump or a push-up or a pull-up, and our bodies are able to do that. So exercise does not suck. It's an incredible gift. Just a quick reminder that sometimes working out with a buddy helps. All right. So these two have been working out together for years on Alaska, and sometimes having a buddy is huge. So find a group of people, challenge you, inspire you, spend a lot of time with them. It's going to change your life. All right. So healthy meats, fruits, veggies. In addition to that, tubers like sweet potatoes, I would eat over white potato just because they're not sprayed as heavily, and there's slightly more nutritional value in sweet potatoes. Excuse me. Tree nuts, no peanuts. Peanuts are actually not a nut, they are a legume. And it's known that there's an aflatoxin, which is a cancer-causing mold that grows on them, oftentimes underground. The oils in peanuts are inflammatory. If you're getting peanut butter, it's mostly just added with sugar. Peanuts are inflammatory, bad for us, but all the other nuts I would go for. If you're going to lose weight though, just keep your portion smaller because nuts are super calorically dense. Eggs are awesome, water, healthy cooking oils. I would recommend 3, keep it simple. Olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, okay? Olive oil, when you're like sauteing something, maybe lower heat because it has a flash point that's a little bit lower. And if you burn it, then it's rancid, it's bad. So lower heat to medium heat olive oil, higher heat coconut or avocado oil. All right. If you're a heavy boozer, sometimes I get this question, but what can I drink, Pete? Okay. What I would recommend to mostly avoid is beer and wine because they're both sugar water. Beer, you're drinking bread, and wine, you're drinking juice. Okay. And then if you got mixers left, which is 3/4 soda. Okay. So what I usually recommend is like soda water, like the tonic water, the sugar-free soda water, because it's still carbonated and stuff. Squeeze a lime in it and add your favorite white liquor. Vodka or tequila are best. Cool? So that's my, if you need it, go for that. All right, we're actually all having a tequila night after this. So.
And a donut.
And a donut.
No, Dan.
Shame. Okay, so I always get asked, how do you eat to lose weight then? It's very simple. You could count calories all day, and guess what? It works, because ultimately, if you eat less calories than you put out, you're going to lose weight. Scientifically, it can't not work. That is how it works. There's a professor at Kansas City who did a Twinkie diet. All he ate was Twinkies and he lost weight. He just made sure that the calories were less than he was burning every day. Not super healthy. I think it ended up being like 4 Twinkies a day or something like that. But calories matter. The easiest way to figure that out is to reduce our portion sizes, okay? Our portion sizes in the States are huge, really big, okay? Meat, usually palm of your hand. Oils and nuts, your thumb. It seems small, it should be, okay? So whatever oils you're using in your dish, whatever nuts you want to have, the size of your thumb. Veggies, eat as much as you want because that fiber keeps us full. And even though it is carbs, there's so little in there compared to the nutrition that you get. There is nothing that you're gonna get from grains and dairy that you won't get more of from fruits, veggies, meats, eggs, avocados without the bad stuff, okay? You're not missing on anything, you're just getting good stuff. So when you're hungry, eat. Very simple. Do I need to have breakfast? Are you hungry? Yeah, then eat. Oh, I'm not hungry. Don't eat. Keep it very, let your body help figure it out for you, okay? When you do eat healthy, the stuff I recommended. And if you're trying to lose weight, eat till you're 70% full. Most of us eat like this and we don't know that we're full until we're too full, right? Slow down, eat till you're 70% full. Add in extra water. Drink water before, drink water with, drink water throughout the day. Being hydrated is huge, and it's also gonna help you stay full. Protein and veggies with every meal if possible, because protein is super satiating and keeps us full. There's a peptide in there, a PYY peptide, that helps keep us satiated in our brain, that keeps us full, okay? That's very high in protein and fats. It's very low in carbs. So in addition to all the things that block our hormones that tell us that we're full, it also is super low in the peptide that tells us that we're full, okay? So protein and fats help keep us full. Eat as many veggies as you want. Fruit are the perfect dessert. What you guys are gonna find if you go for it, you go all in, which I recommend, it works. Fruit becomes a dessert. It really does. Watermelon, grapes, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries are so sweet, but the threshold for humans for sweetness is like here for all that stuff. Awesome, really good, honey, delicious. But when we have ice cream, donuts, and all the stuff that's been created in a lab to be extra super sweet and palatable, this stuff isn't quite as sweet. But once we get rid of that, everything fixes itself and that stuff tastes awesome again, okay? Common questions I'm gonna breeze through. When to eat, we just did that. When you're hungry. If you're not hungry, you don't have to eat. Cool? Stopping weekend cravings, fill your schedule with good productive stuff. How do I get rid of specifically just belly fat? You can target muscle growth. If I do right arm biceps, I'm gonna get a bigger bicep. You cannot target fat loss, unfortunately. Even if you get the belly wrap, okay? It doesn't work. When you lose fat, it goes down the same percentage from everywhere head to toe, okay? Weekly meal plan, I have those for you guys. Coffee, caffeine, not the devil. Just, moderate it. If you're having a cup of coffee right before bed, and that's fine, or a whole pot before bed, and that's fine for you, you might need to tone it down a little bit. Juice, do not recommend juice because it's just the water, the sugar water squeezed out of fruit, all right? If I gave you like 12 apples, it'd be really hard for you to eat all those. You'd get through like maybe 2, maybe 3, and you'd be full because of all the fiber and the nutrients. No fiber, no nutrients in juice. You're just getting the sugar, inflammatory, all the issues that come with that. Avoid juice. Fats we talked about. Cooking oils, again, just olive, avocado, coconut. There's soybean oil in everything. Look at your ingredient labels. Soybean is inflammatory, canola is inflammatory. Vegetable oils aren't even made of vegetables. They're made out of grains, okay? Marketing, it's bad. Is this paleo? It's pretty close to paleo, although there's paleo muffins and there's paleo brownies and all this stuff that's paleo now. If it's a real food that exists, you can eat it, okay? And if you want bread, you're gonna have to start growing your own wheat, and you're gonna have to grind it down, okay? Pre-workout is usually just caffeine. I'm not anti-pre-workout. If you wanna take it, you can, but a lot of times there's added sweeteners, and like I said, FDA is unregulated on supplements, so you really don't know what's in it. Have a cup of coffee if that helps keep you going. Take a caffeine pill, really cheap. Post-workout, eat when you're hungry. If you wanna have a shake or something, you can, but again, watch the ingredients. A lot of that's just added sugars and junk. Have a steak, that's protein, right? Cool beans? Have some eggs, that's protein, cool. And eat when you're hungry. There used to be this, you have a 10-minute window post-workout or you basically lost everything. That's nonsense, there's nothing to support that. Eat when you're hungry. If you're hungry after your workout, eat. If you're not, don't. Also, the thermic effect of food is kind of cool. So if I eat 1,000 calories of steak or 1,000 calories of bread, it takes effort, thermic energy for my body to break down the steak more than it does the bread. So I'm actually only digesting about like 800 calories from the steak. I'm getting all 1,000 from the bread. So calorie to calorie is not equal. You're gonna absorb a lot more from like the grains and the dairies and all the junk. I wanna get into some mindset stuff, some gratitude stuff. A lot of times we compare to other people, right? If only I had what this person had, if only I had what this person had, then I would be happy. One, you don't know the struggles they went through to get there. Everybody's struggling. You just see all the good, positive stuff online. That's not their life. That's 2 minutes of their life. Most of it's babies screaming, not the smiley part, right? So if Bill Gates was here and he said, I'll give you all of my money, but you lose everybody you love, you lose your home, you lose all this stuff, would you take that offer? I wouldn't. So in that mindset space, what you have is more valuable than everything Bill Gates has. So to just take a second and be like, I'm so grateful I have my house, I have my car, I have my job, I have my family, my loved ones, is huge, okay? Your life, what you have, you're more wealthy than Bill Gates, okay? So don't worry about other people. It's important to have goals, but more important than those goals are the habits that you get into to achieve those goals. Because every Olympian, their goal is to win the gold medal, right? But whoever had the best habits, the best practicing, the most effort, those are the people that are gonna win and get their goal, which is the gold, okay? So just having a goal isn't gonna do it. We have to adapt the habits that get us there. Cool. Gratitude, I want to talk about really quick. There's a hormone peptide in our body called tachykinin that they did studies on that it releases. The release of it reduces our immunity, increases fear and anxiety, causes irritable aggression, and issues like that, okay? But gratitude depletes the release of tachykinin. So if you take a second and be grateful like we just tried, the stress, the aggression, the irritability, physically, chemically goes down. So if you're like building up, 1, get a good workout in, 2, practice gratitude. Huge, huge, huge. All right, so your habits are the way you embody a particular identity. So a lot of us, we have that voice in our head that's screaming at us, you suck, you're not gonna do it, you always quit, you've done this before 100 times, blah, 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 you're sick, you eat junk food. 1, that is not who you are, you're not that voice. You're looking at that voice and you're believing it. You're in control of your voice in your head. So it takes practice, just like gratitude. Work on that voice in your head. Start saying, no, I'm a fitness person, I am healthy. And start aligning your decisions with someone who is healthy and fit and what they would do. Think, what would a healthy person do in this situation? But don't think too long because then you start arguing your old habits, right? So every action you take is a vote for the type of person that you believe you are and that you want to become. And you build momentum in that direction. So if you say, I want to be healthy and fit and look this way and feel great, every decision you make is a vote in that direction, okay? Every time you go for the veggies instead of the dessert tray, right? Be that weird person at the family event that's like, oh, I'm gonna go for the extra fruit and veggies, more for me. And all those dessert trays are just like, I don't need that anymore. That's another powerful thing, is saying, I don't do that anymore. In your head, when that decision comes up, where you normally would cave in and go for that 8th beer, right? I don't do that anymore. Now I'm a tequila guy, right? I don't do that anymore. It's so powerful because we make decisions based off of who we think we are. And you're not your past. Every day you get to make that decision. I am this person now. I go to the gym. That's what I do now. That's who I am because that's what a healthy person does, and that's who I am. And you only have to do it 3 times a week, 4 or 5 if you're feeling frosty, okay? All right, building good habits, make it clear and obvious. I like to think of the Tupperware at home when I was growing up. My mom would oftentimes put leftovers in this like Dole sour cream Tupperware, and it would end up getting slowly slid to the back of the fridge until we'd be like, oh, I need sour cream, boom, oh, mold, gross, disgusting. All right, if we want to change things, we have to make our habits super clear, like Tupperware that's see-through and in the front, so we know that that's there and we can eat it the next day because we know what's inside of it. Awesome. Make it attractive. Think of the positives. A lot of times when we have different changes we want to make, it's hard. It is hard. And then we justify by looking at the positives of the bad decisions we make, like things taste good, and the negatives of the change we want to make. Oh, that'll be hard. We need to flip that upside down. Think of the positives of the change you want to make and the negatives of the habits you currently have that are holding you down. Okay? Make it super simple. Start small. Come to 1 workout. Just drive to the gym. Sometimes it's that mental thing of like, I can't get there. You're so frozen and that first step seems impossible. Drive past the door and I'll wave at you as you go. That's step 1, right? Put your tennis shoes on, come inside, that's step 2. Do 1 workout, right? Start small, especially if you're really, really stuck, okay? Sometimes when you're at home and you're having a really lazy day, all it takes is taking out the trash and that whole day turns upside down because you get that 1 step and now you're like, oh, I should do the dishes. Oh, I should clean the room. Oh, the whole house is organized, right? So make it simple, start small, make it fun. We got stickers this month, which is really fun. People get into the sticker thing even as adults. So try and make it fun. And to end the bad habits, make them invisible, all right? If you have junk food in your house and you are a food addict like me, you will eat it. Don't get it, throw it out. This weekend's the purge, guys. This weekend's the massive purge. Throw it away. You will feel so good when you throw away that ice cream in the fridge. You're not even gonna believe it because it's in your subconscious. You're like, I know I'm gonna go for it eventually when I'm having a bad day and I'm gonna hate myself and all this. I know that because that's me, right? I've been there so many times. Throw it away, okay? If you know you're going to the grocery store, bring someone with you who knows what your goals are, your family member, whatever. Don't buy it, okay? Don't go down that aisle that has the stuff that you wanna look at because you're gonna stare at it. And then you're gonna have that conversation in your head and you will lose that conversation and you will buy it. Don't do it. If you're like me, some of you guys are mentally stronger than I am. Okay? Make it hard, don't have it around, make it unsatisfying, visualize the negatives that go along with the habits that you want to break. Sweet. Don't beat yourself up. Beating yourself up not only doesn't work, it usually makes it worse, and you go back to bad habits. Surround yourself with good people. Okay? We are the collection of the people we spend the most time with, which is why it's important to get a community of people that are in the same mindset as you, like want to be healthy. If you hang out with people who smoke and drink all the time, the odds of you smoking and drinking all the time are very strong. This is something we forget about. This is crucial. I was building a bed frame for Henry in his room, and it was just me at home. Shreen was probably working, and I had all these screws and nails all over the place. And Henry kept crawling over to grab a screw and a nail because he wanted to play with them, right? He really wanted them. Like he was fighting me trying to get to the screws and the nails. But if I was like, oh, well, he really, really wants them, so I'll just let him have it, because if I don't have it, I'm a bad parent. He's gonna hurt himself, I know it, right? He's gonna hurt himself. He's gonna eat one and trip to the hospital, awful. When we get to a certain age, we don't have a parent keeping us safe anymore, telling us what we can and can't have. The cookie jar that you weren't supposed to have until after dinner, now you can have 8 cookies before dinner because you're an adult, right? We don't have that parent anymore. We have to be our own parent. So when you're having that situation, that choice, is this nails and screws? If I have this, is this gonna hurt me? Does this go along with my goals? No, doesn't, then you have to be the disciplinarian of that other half of you that needs help. Cool? Be nice to yourself as your own parent. If you're constantly like dumping on yourself and telling yourself how much you suck, you're gonna be sad and miserable. Work on that. Start throwing positive things in. Okay, also thinking about something and focusing is huge, all right? So when you take time and actually think about what you want, acetylcholine is released in your brain and it marks that thing for change, okay? Sometimes we know we need to change, but we distract ourselves so much that we don't give time to actually focus on that thing, all right? Focus on it. Think again, what would a healthy person do? Last couple of slides. Get out of your own way. 3 things I think would be super, super helpful for you guys if you're stuck and you need to get back in it. No more 0 days. No more 0 days. What does that mean? If you're trying to get fit and healthy, it means 1 squat. You're in bed, you're like, oh, I didn't do anything today. Get out of bed, boom, 1 squat. It's no longer a 0 day because you did something towards it, okay? No more, well, if you want to be an author, write 1 word. That's not a 0 day, okay? Whatever your goals are, whatever you're working towards, no more nothing days, because that momentum is huge. The 3 me's is the past you, present you, and future you. A lot of times we're stuck because of our past self, and we hate that past self for the decisions that they made, and that we feel like we need to punish ourselves for the rest of time because of that. All right? Forgive yourself. This is kind of hippy-dippy, but it's huge, especially if you're stuck. Your past self, forgive yourself. It's okay. Whatever you did, it's behind you, and now you get to make a decision to move forward and move on. It's all right. It's over, it's done, that's past. Tell yourself in your head, I'm so serious, I forgive you. And you're just like, oh, snap. Now I can conquer the world, right? And also, making sure you take care of yourself is huge. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not gonna be able to take care of others. It's like the oxygen mask on the plane. When I first heard that, oh, make sure you mask yourself before others, I was like, that seems selfish. But if you're dad, you can't help anybody, right? And we're all like running like a hamster on a wheel, trying to please everybody else and get all of our assignments done. Meanwhile, our body is falling to crap, we're exhausted, we're in pain. Right? How much better of a friend, parent, spouse, coworker, whatever could you be if you were healthy, energetic, and felt amazing, right? So put your oxygen mask on first, not selfishly. Take care of yourself first so you can help take care of other people. Thinking long term, and most of us don't think about tooth decay, our blood pressure going up, health disease, cancers, right? We wait until the last minute for something tragic to happen to make a change, okay? Successful, healthy, wealthy people focus long term. So think your decisions you make, not for today, for future you. Your future you is your new best friend. 5 years down the road, that's your best friend, that version of you. And make decisions today for your best friend. Cool? And you get to decide between when you struggle. We all struggle. It's either going to be today or down the road. If you choose discipline today, you will not struggle down the road because you chose discipline. If you choose to give in to whatever you feel like is your pleasure thing, then you're going to struggle down the road. So you get to pick. Exercise now so you feel better later. Last couple of things. Things have changed over the years. Remember there's a Lucky Strike campaign? You know, doctors said, hey, you should smoke. right? There was fat loss by eating tapeworms. Not a great idea. Get your kids healthier by starting Coca-Cola earlier. Cocaine tooth drops. Trepanation, which is when you had a headache, they would drill a hole in your skull and let all the blood out and you would die and then you'd feel better. Basically, the point of this stuff is like what is recommended today does not mean that 100 years from now we're gonna be like, oh, that was it, right? What works and what always works is exercising, eating better, okay? And then anticipation is usually the worst part or the best part. If you have a party you're really excited about, a lot of times it's not as awesome as it was in your head, right? And when you go to work, usually you're just like, oh God, I don't want to go to work. It's gonna suck. And then you get there, you're like, this isn't so bad. It's the anticipation. It's the same thing with food and exercising. So as far as that goes, don't think. Once you've made a decision, make a decision. And there are no other options. There is no backup plan. There is no plan B. I'm going to make this decision. I'm going all in. Even when that voice pops up and tells me otherwise, don't think, just do what you decided on, because the anticipation and the thought process is going to kill you, okay? Options are bad news. Pick one thing. That's your new plan. And our brain actually thrives on it when we don't give options, because there's what's called decision fatigue. You know, chess players burn like 6,000 calories at like a tournament in a day because they're thinking so hard all day. So when you're like, oh, should I have the donut or should I do the thing? Well, Pete said I should do this, but I really want that thing, and I've been really good lately, and this, that, and the other thing, and you just think yourself into oblivion. That's why we're exhausted at the end of the day. Stop, don't think so much, make that decision, and then it's easy. There is no decision. You're just doing this because you decided. Momentum is huge too, so just start small and keep going. And my advice to you, this is the last slide, my advice to you is to just try. 30 days, because by the end of 4 weeks, all the toxins, everything is gone, right? You're gonna feel amazing. And if you don't go all in and you go 80% or 75%, then that 20% or 25% is gonna be the difference, and that's why you're not gonna feel as awesome as you could. And if you're wondering, well, maybe this isn't it, guess what? If you go all in for 30 days, you'll know. Then you'll know if it's not what's best for you, what's gonna work for you. But if you try it, which it works, 30 days, all in, okay? That's all I'm asking, just give it a shot. Promise you it works. Questions? Yeah?
Where does rice fall in?
So rice is not inherently bad, but it is not good for weight loss because it's empty calories. It's similar to white potatoes and oatmeal. I would put oatmeal, white potatoes, and rice all in a yellow light category. If you're going for weight loss, don't eat it because there's almost no nutrition in it comparative to the calories. If you just like the taste and you're not trying to lose weight, eat it, it's fine. There's almost nothing bad in it, but there's almost no nutrition in it. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's kind of like eating tasty cardboard as far as nutritional stuff. I'm just saying, like, it's not inherently bad, but it's not helping.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
So
cool.
rice is tasty cardboard, milk is dead pus.
Dead pus. Deb's got it. Deb's got it.
Yes, what are the anti-inflammatory foods that you stopped eating, and then when you would go back, they would set you off right away? Like, what were the
Inflammatory,
things
the biggest inflammatory things for me that set off like my feet swelling up was grains. Grains was huge, and then sugar. Like if there was like a candy bar or something high in sugar.
Okay.
Sugar and grains are extremely inflammatory. I'm not joking, my feet would hurt like 20 minutes after. Yeah, those are huge. Dairy is inflammatory too.